this is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. So happy to be joined today by Paul Hand, who is Senior Product Manager for Building Infrastructure with Biamp. Topic of conversation is, of course, mass notification, aligning with our mass notification deep dive, which will be all over the March issue of CI plus SSI, as well as on both commercialintegrator.com and securitysales.com throughout the month of March. We're reaching out to real industry leaders in the mass notification category, some of the most respected, most influential vendors. Of course, Biamp is chief among them. So thank you so much, Paul, for joining me today and giving us some insight.
Thanks, Dan. I sure appreciate being here.
So, Paul, why don't we start with basics? Mass notification, as I said, it's the first time we're doing a deep dive of this sort, but we're doing it because it really seems to be an area of increased interest, increased opportunity for integrators, be they AV integrators or security integrators for that matter. Do you agree with that? Are you hearing on the streets that mass notification is a really important and burgeoning opportunity for integrators right now?
Absolutely. And yeah, thanks, Dan. Sure appreciate it. The we're seeing opportunities all over the place, not just from your traditional background music and messaging for convenience purposes, but also for really important messaging, getting the critical content to the intended listener, wherever that may be, inside of a facility or even outside of a facility. We're finding that even with advents such as personal communication devices, having an integrated audio communication system, like one of our Vocia systems, is really integral in making sure that we can get that content to the listener. Even if their phone is turned off, for example, being able to push that throughout a facility wide or to a very specific zone or an intended area inside of a space, that's something that's very powerful, that we can provide very specific guidance or instructions in the different parts of a facility with a system like ours.
So, Paul, you mentioned Vocia, and of course, that's a big name in terms of mass notification, a big solution option. Do you want to talk a little bit about what Vocia is, the technology that underpins it, rather, for those who may not be as familiar with the technology as we are?
Sure. Well, Vocia is a tried and true system from Biamp. When it comes right down to it, mass notification at the heart of it also provides background music functionality. It is, among other things, built with robustness from the ground up. It is a fully decentralized system. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, it means that no one component really manages the entire mass notification architecture, which means if I have a single component go down, the rest of the system completely operates on its own. In fact, we have some very, very cool functionality where I could just put something as simple as a device identification inside of there for if something, for example, if a desk station, if a paging station goes down, I can replace that desk station with a device ID of the exact same. I plug it in within a few seconds. It has scooped up from the system its personality, and I'm up and running again. It's a real value for any environment where having consistent uptime and critical messaging capabilities is absolutely important. We satisfy that. It's also great because the system itself can grow from a single source to a single destination, like two devices, and I can grow exponentially from there, which means I can have a single paging station and a single amplifier, and that could be my system to start with. What's cool about it is we grow very functionally from there. If I have more paging stations, I add them. If I had more amplifier zones or amplifiers, I add them. If I need more audio inputs or outputs, I add them. If I have other functionality like text-to-speech functionality or messaging servers, I add them. It's all very incremental, and there's no cap. And so systems, again, can grow very, very easily, and it's incredibly scalable. And it's all about making sure that the audio is the most intelligible possible. So we have audio treatments in the forms of EQ and other functionality on every point of input, ingress, and egress inside of the system. That's very important because if I have lots of different inputs coming in, I want to make sure that they're all normalized before they hit that distribution system. And then when they go out, I want to make sure that they're tuned appropriately through an equalizer going to every single output. And different speakers may react differently in different spaces. So As an audio company, it makes a lot of sense that we would pay extra special attention to the way that the audio is EQ'd. So it makes a lot of sense that comes from Biamp.
Well, you gave me a lot of great information there, Paul. Everything from the scalability benefits to, especially, I want to talk about the uptime and the reliability benefits. If we're talking about mass communication, if we're talking about emergency notification, we're thinking about maybe active shooters or tornadoes or something like that, where you can't have downtime. You really need to ensure that your systems are reliable, that you're getting that audio out there so people know if there's an emergency. You want to talk a little bit about that, just underscore that point that that's kind of central to one of the benefits Biamp can bring, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is built into the Vocia system from the ground up, all the way from that decentralized nature of, having the ability for the system to continue running if any piece goes down, all the way to the redundancy and resiliency we have built in for example, the power schema, where we have like maybe the device is a PoE device, but we also have a DC DAT backup for a bank of local batteries to feed that device should PoE go down for whatever reason. Um, all the way to amplifier outputs where we have channel to channel redundancy, or even chassis to chassis redundancy, to where the whole idea is if anything ever goes wrong with one of those channels, we have another one sitting there ready to go, and it can be designed so that it just is instantly up and running. To your point, some of those awful scenarios, school shooting or weather emergency, whatever it may be, those are not the time to find out that something horrible has gone wrong with your system. With the Vocia system, it's going to be there up and running, either through its primary operation or through a resilient or redundant backup.
Absolutely. So, for those who might have had their interest piqued about Vocia specifically and about Biamp broadly as a partner for them for their mass notification or emergency communications applications, how can they learn more? Where can they go? What should they do so they can start leveraging the power of what Biamp and Vocia bring to the table?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, Biamp.com is a great place to go. Look at the Vocia product offering, or go into the market section that talks about mass notification, and really just you can dig into it. There's also some great training to understand how to design and set up Vocia communication systems. But yeah, start there. It's a great place, and we'd love to work with you on whatever the project is to make sure that it's a great success.
Well, thank you so much, Paul, for your thought leadership, for joining me here today and helping me better understand the mass notification category and, of course, Biamp's role in it, foremost with the Vocia line. Again, Paul Hand, Senior Product Manager for Building Infrastructure at Biamp. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
My name is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. Please keep your eyes on commercialintegrator.com and securitysales.com throughout the month of March for more thought leadership content relating to the mass notification category. And please do keep your eyes on the March issue of CI plus SSI, which features our big, expansive mass notification deep dive that includes industry thought leadership from leaders like Biamp. Thank you again for joining me, Paul, and we'll talk to you soon.